Hello to all of you good people and welcome. Thank you for being part of the Franciscan Missionaries of Our Lady Health System and for your service in our healing ministry. I am excited to share with you the history of the Franciscan Missionaries of Our Lady. We are Franciscan sisters, and this means we follow the way of life of St. Francis of Assisi. As many of you know, St. Francis was born in 1182 to a wealthy family after he encountered God, having a vision that he was called by God to rebuild the church. St. Francis decided to serve God. He turned his back on wealth and worldly things. Through his life, thousands of people have been inspired and follow St. Francis' examples of following Jesus, reflecting God's love in words and action, including the Franciscan Missionaries of Our Lady Sisters. There are tens of thousands of followers of St. Francis and many Franciscan orders, which are groups of religious men and women. The FMOLhx Sisters are one of the groups. It was from Franciscan order that God sent his sisters to Louisiana in 1911, which was the beginning of our healthcare ministry. The Franciscan movement. St. Francis has many groups of followers. While St. Francis was still living, the first order of his followers were established and had three branches: Fire Miners, Capuchins, and Conventuals. These groups still exist today and sponsor universities, parishes, healthcare ministry, and other ministries. Next, St. Clare. While St. Francis was living, a beautiful woman, St. Clare, probably 10 years younger than St. Francis, fell in love with God through St. Francis' preaching and wanted to dedicate her life totally to God. St. Francis and his brothers helped St. Clare to establish second order for women, which is called Poor Clares. These are women religious nuns. They live in a cloister and pray for the church. The Poor Clares still exist, and we are blessed to have members of the order in New Orleans. Later, lay people wanted to be formally involved in the Franciscan movement, so the Third Order was established. The Third Order includes religious who take vows of obedience, chastity, and poverty, and then secular members who do not take vows as religious members do. My FMOLhx sisters and I belong to the Third Order regular religious, so we take vows of poverty, chastity, and obedience, just as those in the first and the second order. Other people who are not religious sisters and brothers or in vowed ministry can join the Third Order secular. Members of the Third Order secular live their usual lives, and some are married and have children, young and old, and follow the rule of St. Francis, such as by doing charity work, praying Franciscan prayers, working to protect living things, and so on. Now I will read the rule of life of the Third Order regular, the rule of St. Francis that the sisters and I follow. Third Order regular rule of life. Inspired by the example of St. Francis of Assisi, the members of the Third Order regular set forth to follow Jesus Christ by living in fraternal communion, religious communities, and through the observance of obedience, poverty, and chastity in public vows, and by giving themselves to innumerable expressions of apostolic activity service, to actualize in the best way possible their chosen way of life. They dedicate themselves unreservedly to prayer, strive to grow in fraternal love, live true penance, and cultivate Christian self-denial. Even one is not a member of one of the group followers of the Franciscan way of life, each of us is called to live the gospel life. One of the brothers asked St. Francis to teach him how to read the gospel, and St. Francis is said to have responded, "Preach the gospel always, and if necessary, use words." We are reminded by these wise words that we can reach the gospel by our words and action each day. This is the pictures of Father Adolphe Duchesne and Mother Louise Mobile, the founders of the FMOL. In 1854, under the guidance of Father Duchesne and Mother Louise Mobile, 7 groups of Franciscan sisters joined under the name of the Franciscan Sisters of Calais. During World Wars I and II, sisters was scattered as a result of bombing. With God's help, the sisters later gathered in Paris, France, and established the main headquarters, which is now where the Mother House is located. Eventually came the name change, which was appropriate. Our name changed from the Franciscan Sisters of Calais to Franciscan Missionaries of Our Lady because we serve throughout the world and have Our Lady as the patron saint of the congregation. We are located in Ethiopia, Ireland, Angola, Argentina, North America, South Africa, Djibouti, Macau, Madagascar, Portugal, France, Brazil, Mozambique, Sao Tome, Haiti, and Timor-Leste. And this is just a map. A way of life. You may have wondered why we are called sisters, not nuns. Nuns live in the cloister, an area set aside away from the world, and their main ministry is to pray. Sisters, by comparison, are active in ministry with people and live more in the world, working in ministry positions. We too pray, and in addition, we provide earthly service with our minds and hands. We commit ourselves first to God through the Catholic Church and then through the congregation worldwide and in the region North American. We live in community as family. We participate in the daily Eucharist, Mass, and share common prayers often. We serve and work among people in areas that God calls us, working in the hospitals, schools, parishes, and so on. Our goal is to minister people in the community, especially those are most in need, the sick and the suffering, and the underserved. So these are the sister way of life, being out there with people, and this is the cloister. These are pictures of the sister who came to Louisiana in 1911, Mother Marie de Bethany Crowley, who is not from Crowley, or the Acadiana area. She was a superior in the Louisiana province. Sister Angelique Van Boxtel, Sister Margaret Gaffney, Sister Josephine Martin, Sister Marie Hortelane Arnold, and Sister Brigida Comfort returned to France due to illness, and we did not have pictures. This is Father Ludovico Inart and the first class of nursing students in Monroe. Father Inart was instrumental in bringing the first sisters to open the first healthcare ministry in Monroe. The sister first went to the Pineville, Louisiana, but a few months later, Father Inart invited them to Monroe with approval of the bishop. With God's help, the ministry flourished from a handful of sisters to now almost 15,000 team members joining in the workforce. God is so amazing. In the next few slides, you will see the timeline and the progress of the ministry as it has continued to grow. I will not be able to mention all the dates and events that has been occurred in the last 100 years. However, I will quickly mention the following dates and events. 1854, the congregation was founded in Calais, France. 1911, Franciscan sister arrived in North America from Paris, France. 1913, 1913, St. Francis Sanitarium in Monroe opened. 1923, Our Lady of the Lake Sanitarium in Baton Rouge opened. 1949, Our Lady of Lourdes Hospital in Lafayette opened. 1984, the FMOLhx HealthSytem formed. From 1911 to 1984, the sisters were in administration roles, and in 1984, the FMOLhx HealthSytem was established. When I joined the sisters in 1992, I remember that Sister Pauline was the provincial, and at the same time, she was the first CEO of the health system. I learned that Mother Gertrude Hennessy was the provincial for a long time prior to Sister Pauline, and at the same time, she was the CEO of Our Lady of the Lake Hospital. She brilliantly led Our Lady of the Lake Hospital to become the world-class facility it is today. With God's help, the sisters worked collaboratively with many faithful people like you to continue to spread the good news of God's healing love through our healthcare ministry. Let us continue on with the ministry. 1996, Assumption Community Hospital acquired by Our Lady of the Lake. 2000, St. Elizabeth Hospital in Gonzales acquired by Our Lady of the Lake. 2011, the Franciscan Missionaries of Our Lady celebrated 100 years of service in Louisiana. 2014, Our Lady of the Angels in Bocarosa joins the whole system. 2015, we partnered with Cristo Rey, which provides education to low-resource students and families by combining a rigorous college preparatory education with a relevant and unique corporate work-study program is called CWSP. 2019, Women and Children and Heart Hospital in Lafayette, as well as St. Dominic Health Service in Mississippi, joined the Franciscan Missionaries of Our Lady HealthSytem Ministry. This is the mission statement. Many of us familiar with our mission statement, which helps guide us to find meaning in our works, as we have heard throughout the presentation. What you see now is our emblem. This emblem represents the congregation of the Franciscan Missionaries of Our Lady, and as you see, Mother Mary is featured in the center of the tall. St. Francis used the tall as a signature or a sign on his letters to his followers. It is a sign of conversion. Today, Franciscan, both religious and secular, wear the tall cross as a sign of their commitment to Christ and the power of his love, his message, his grace to transform us into the very best person we can possibly become. St. Francis of Assisi has a special love for Mother Mary, who is the mother of Jesus and our Heavenly Mother. The word background represents the international work of our order. This emblem captured the meaning of who the FMOL sisters are. We have Mother Mary as our patron saint, and she guides us as we serve God throughout the word. This pictures was taken at the team members' employee entrance at Our Lady of Lourdes Hospital. I would like to share with you how my family relates to Mother Mary. Please note that the Catholics do not worship Mary. We honor her, and we believe that she has a way to influence her son, Jesus, to grant our request. It is easier to ask our mother for what we need than to ask our Father. I believe that Mother Mary helped me and my family to be in this country. I was born and raised in a wealthy family in South Vietnam with my younger brother and sister. My father was a major in the South Vietnam Army, and my mother was a translator at one of the hospitals. When I was 3 years old, the Vietnam War began and our lives became chaotic. My father was put in prison. All of our possessions were taken, and we were forced to leave our home. My grandmother helped to raise us in a small village, and I remember that we prayed for protection and peace every morning and every night. After 10 years in prison, my father was released. He planned our escape so the children would have freedom to learn and serve God. We were captured on the first attempt to escape, with 50 people on the boat with us. When the boat was pulled into the seashore, my father jumped out of the boat and hid himself under the water to avoid being killed. He felt the bullets come toward him, but a divine mantle from Mother Mary protected him. So he was safe and got to come home. The rest of us were put in prison. Women and children were kept in prison for a month, and I don't know how long the men were kept. Almost 2 years went by. My father built another boat with his friends for us to escape. The night before we escaped the second time, my father saw a beautiful lady speaking to him in his sleep, saying, "You, your family, and all who come with you will make it this time." We knew it was Mother Mary, and we made it. We had 93 people on the boat. On our journey, the drinking water ran out because the water tank was leaking, but with Mother Mary prayers, rain came only where the boat was, providing enough water for the entire journey. We also encountered pirates that surrounded our boat, but again, through Mother Mary's intercession, the pirates left us alone. It took us 7 days and 8 nights on the boat to get from Vietnam to Malaysia. We were in the Malaysia and Philippines refugee camps for 18 months, and then we came to New Orleans on September 7, 1989, a day before Mother Mary's birthday. Again, Mother Mary guided me to join the Franciscan Missionaries of Our Lady on February 11, 1992, feast day of Our Lady of Lourdes, and here I am working at Lourdes. I pray that we imitate Mother Mary's virtue and example to pray for others and to bring others to Jesus and to live in peace and harmony with one another. These are my family pictures, my grandmother, my parents, my sister, her daughter, my brothers, his wife, and these 2 nieces. We are so grateful to God for everything. Let us see if you can answer a few questions. You can type in your answer in the chat box. What is the total number of the FMOLs who have served in Louisiana since 1911? How many FMOLs are now present in Louisiana statewide? How many FMOLs are in Baton Rouge? How many FMOL are now in Lafayette? And how many FMOLs in Monroe? Well, these are our lovely sisters. We have 151 FMOL sisters served in Louisiana since 1911, and at the present time, we have 12 sisters. These are their names and pictures. Sister Barbara Arsenault, Regional Minister, Sister Lillian Lynch, Sister Helen Cahill, Sister Anne Catherine Moon, Sister Margarita Vasquez, Sister Anne Upshy, Sister Rita Laney, Sister Penny Prophet, Sister Brenda Mary, Ronnie, Sister Eileen Rose, Sister Mary Ann, and myself, Sister Wayne. We are very blessed to have Sister Teresa recently joined us. If you know someone interested in becoming a sister, please let me know. I took this picture from the internet. St. Francis preached in front of St. John Lateran Basilica, known as Mother and Head of all the church on earth. I will not have time to go into detail anyway. St. Francis and his followers received the rule of life from Pope Innocent III in St. John Lateran. The image reminds me of the tall grass and the popular phrase that St. Francis responded to his followers: preach the gospel always, if necessary, use word. We are grateful to you for being the heart of our ministry. It is God who places us here to be his instrument of peace. And in the spirit of St. Francis, I pray that God to help us to preach the gospel always, using words only when necessary. We will let our actions speak about the love of God. I would like to leave with you the great blessing that St. Francis desired to impart to his friend, Brother Leo. May the Lord bless you and keep you. May his face shine upon you and be merciful to you. May he turn his countenance toward you and give you his peace. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit, amen. Thank you for all you do, and may God bless you and your family abundantly.